So one, I just want to start by saying, as you know, Mel, and for the broader SIS community, I look forward to this event every year. Um, but I will say, given everything that's happened over the past few weeks, it's definitely been harder to wake up every day. It's definitely been harder, even though I've been doing this work for a while, just given everything that's happened, to really stay focused. That said, I was reminded why people come together for events like this, for the Social Innovation Summit. And it's for a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of light, some networking with some like-minded individuals who are doing some great things. And that's what this next session is going to be about. So I'm glad that we're together for this moment. So whether I get to be a champion for various aspects, I'm glad to say that at Comcast I get to focus a lot of my work on the digital divide. We just heard Naria talk about that from a skills perspective as well. And I'm fortunate to be joined by Rosario Dawson today, who longtime board member of the Lower Eastside Girls Club, an activist, advocate for women and girls, and I think in her spare time she gets to do a little bit of acting. So welcome, Rosario.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so powerful. Thank you so much. I love talking about the Girls Club. I grew up in the Lower East Side. It wasn't someplace I could go to as a young girl, but it's someplace I craved and needed. The neighborhood I grew up in has really, high child pregnancy rates, dropout rates, and this organization has now existed for over 20 years and has been so valuable to the community. And when you talk about Mel was talking about going to visit, I highly recommend any and everyone who's in New York who's able to, when we are able to, really to go there. It is very profound. You're talking about 30,000 square feet of awesomeness, and the girls learn everything from sewing to putting up a planetarium show to working, they're making floats, they're welding, they're growing food on the roof, they're meditating. They're just in any and everything that you could possibly think of, from music to editing to making food. They have incredible collaborations with companies and businesses all around the neighborhood. So they've gotten like 2 booths donated a pizza oven. The girls intern for them. They have another shop. They work with the family members. They're giving out food, organic food. They've been giving out masks and computers and checking in with families. I mean, this is life-saving work. Life-saving work that it's including. It's intergenerational. It's multifaceted in that it's business, it's community, it's teachers, it's parents, it's local businesses, and we've already seen what these girls are doing in the world. They now know that there's a space for them, that they can create, that they can develop, that they have a voice, that they're important, and they're turning it back into their own community and becoming mentors themselves. We're not even just stopping there. We've got, everything that's been going with COVID, but we've got our COVID-19 response, which has been so powerful. But we also just opened up the Center for Wellbeing and Happiness, which I think is something that we need that much more now. And the health and wellness of our community members have always been a focal point of our mission. And we understand that the well-being of our girls is intimately connected to the well-being of her family, her community, and her world. And we recognize that the significant flaws in our existing health system, particularly in the major disparity is forced on Black and Brown people, needs to be addressed. And these girls getting the education, not just experiencing and suffering these situations, but actually learning what they can do to solve these problems in their communities, to really seize and turn their pain into power. And we vitally need that kind of momentum, motivation, energy, and hope in our young people who are looking at a very bleak future otherwise. But I want you to ask me questions.
Absolutely. You've touched on this, but I feel like for people who haven't been there, and I remember going on the Hard Hat tour, and just when this fabulous site opened, obviously Lynn was sort of doing this work before the physical space was built, but Lower East Side Girls Club, the name doesn't even do it justice. Talk about one of your favorite spaces in the building, and maybe sort of how that was an inspiring piece for you and some of the girls that you've been able to bring into the club.
I mean, the entire building is sacred to me. I mean, the programming for the years that were being done in the back rooms of churches and classrooms and businesses and literally walking around with a cart and trying to do art projects with the girls. The fact that this building exists, that people funded it, that people saw the vision and the belief and wanted to invest in these girls could not have happened at a more critical time as we're seeing right now. This is literally the fact that that building exists and has been able to continue going forward because of people supporting it is transforming that community. And, you know, we have, you know, a very particular focus with our girls and understanding, you know, that we've got to provide holistic, intergenerational, complementary activities and programs to address the complete wellness of our community, right? So that means we're going to be working and focusing on certifications and workforce development training programs related to nursing, wellness, workforce, nutrition, environmental and green jobs, economic financing. Like, this kind of organization is this stopgap between so many different people falling through the cracks and actually not falling through the cracks and instead being able to lift themselves up and lift their families up, their community up. I loved what was being spoke about earlier with Microsoft and saying that they are joining with community and organizations because they recognize that that's the way to really instill this and make the real transformation that's going to be institutional from the ground up. But we need those diversity of voices, which means we need that youth. We need those young people and those girls being invited to this space. I loved seeing the other thing earlier about high school interns. Our girls are interning, they're professional, they're remarkable, they're DJing, they're doing such incredible projects, they're giving out food, they're making food for people. It's so well-rounded. It's everything from like coding to voter registration to GOTV to, you know, just spending time with young kids and making sure people are being connected and checked in with. So yeah, the whole space of it is just so profound to me because I've always cared about a lot of different things. That's why I'm on the board of VA and Violence Against Women and Children. So why I'm on the board of Voto Latino to do voter registration and census initiatives. That's why I'm on the board of Lower East Side Girls Club because it's holistic and it's really looking at the girl as a whole person and her community and her family as people who really need investment and care and love and protection. And it's something that for me,
That holistic approach is so important.
yes.
And the other thing you mentioned at the top, how you grew up in LES and it was so important for you to have this type of resource there. You've also talked before about, you know, people have said, oh, it's so great that you got out of LES. I know I hear this all the time, but it's really about this incredible opportunity and for people to have pride in their neighborhoods. Can you talk about how that's really important for the girls in the space as well? And boys, I should mention that the club's resources are open to young men as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you have one of the only planetariums in New York, it's pretty remarkable to be able to bring in students. So this is, I mean, they're helping thousands of people, but I want to highlight one of the initiatives and things that they're doing, especially because we're in our summit and the girls are about to have their summit. We have this program called New Girl City Agents of Change that we work with. It's a citywide leadership initiative that serves over 75 young women. NGC educates and activates future female leaders across the city to learn the symbiotic relationship between civics, public office, and activism, social justice. They train and build critical skills in community organizing, issue analysis, solution development, and utilize the arts, speech, and action to make change in their communities and beyond. They learn the critical tenets of community organizing, the nuts and bolts of civics and elect office, and then put them into practice. And during this time of COVID, this is especially important to bring economic, social, and political criticisms. These girls are honing their skills and using their voice to stand up for change, and they're tackling social issues directly impacting their communities. It's been, you know, that's a 6-month program that happens. It's citywide. You know, it's these kinds of things, and they're being called agents of change, that you're putting the seat of power in their hands. You're not just saying, you know, but so often people go, you're the future, you're going to save us all, and put this burden on them, and there's no guidance, and, you know, there's no recognition of how these young people want to participate. And what I love about the holisticness of this is that, like, my daughter, she's like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to be up there on a microphone, Mom. Like, that's what you do. But she is an artist. She's, you know, I remember this one time we had this conversation. She's gone to the girls club as well. And she started drawing me these beautiful, powerful posters around the environment, anti-violence, the right to vote. And while she was arguing with me that she's not an activist like I am, because she's learning. And as I was teaching her, is that there's so many different ways to get involved. And that's what I love about this organization, is that it's not focusing on just one thing. It's not just saying all these girls have to be running for office, because that's not for everybody. Not all of these girls need to be nurses or doctors or engineers, but they're having the opportunity to investigate whether that's their draw, whether that's their pull. And they have that access nowhere else, unfortunately. So this organization has been so profound, and what it's done for our community and can do for the rest
And
of the
what
world.
the challenges you're thinking through as you think about how to translate all of that greatness virtually? You know, we have a lot of partners, funders, sponsors listening in right now. What would be some ways they could really help the Girls Club through this? I know we think a lot about just the ability of nonprofits to serve organizations virtually. How do they make that transition in the midst of COVID? To your earlier point, it's definitely has a disproportionate negative impact on communities of color. What are some of the things that people can do to support the Girls Club in that transition?
Funding is always critical, because the Girls Club is doing the personalized individual work that so many of us are not necessarily capable of doing. They're actually finding the people who need the help, the people are coming to them, and they're delivering it personally, individually, weekly, daily. So the Girls Club seamlessly really was able to transition a lot of their care and their services online. So the girls are still getting services right now, as well as getting food, as getting getting computers so they can finish their homework, getting, they're getting so much different stuff, but there's only but so many resources we can have. There's a lot of organizations that we've seen over the past couple of years that have shut down. Any donations that you can do, any mentoring that you can do, any amplification that you can do of what the organization is doing to let people know it is a safe and trusted space to that can really serve thousands upon thousands of people. I've been so amazed by seeing how people have just gone online. You know what I mean? I think because, the Lower East Side Girls Club is so tech savvy, they, unlike a lot of other organizations, were able to transition to being able to continue working with all of the girls in the club and their families. But that's not true for a lot of other people. And so I definitely would be paying attention to any organizations that you love that are not able right now because they're behind in technology, to see what you can do to help out with them.
Definitely. We know that regardless of what career you're going into, technology is a critical skill set, and that's definitely where we're focused. I'm sure there's a lot of young women in the audience today, and definitely probably some of the girls that frequent the club. Many of us are mentors. What would you say to them in this moment that's important about being, a young woman and girl in this time with everything going on, sort of striving, on the civic engagement front, about the opportunity? What would you want them to hear from you in this moment?
I want to say I love you. I want to say I see you. I want to say thank you. And I want to say that we're in this together. We really are. And it's not in the sense of, there are a lot of people who have very different resources and have very different foundations that they're working from. But we have more that we can do together than we can do apart. And what I'm so blown away by is organizations like the Lower East Side Girls Club, V-Day, Voto Latino, that have always worked in collaboration. Voto Latino is like one of maybe 5 organizations that are doing voter registration right now. We're trying to, register over 1 million people. We're just 20% past our goal with over 100,000 people registered. We're all in this together, though. When we say that, like, I am only one vote. That's what, I need you, and we need each other. So I've been so amazed by being able to bring V-Day and Voto Latino to the Lower East Side Girls Club, and to share it with all of you. And I really hope you continue to look at the Lower East Side Girls Club and supporting us, looking at V-Day and looking at Voto Latino and supporting us, because these are the people who are, these are the organizations that are reaching out to people, especially our young people, who are needing that guidance and needing that support right now, so that we can transform where we're at.
Thank you. I think those are incredible points to end on. One, that the importance of technology and using it regardless of what career you're in, that connect with one another and having those resources, digital skills, connectivity are incredibly important. And most importantly, that all of us are needed to move forward. This is not going to happen in a divided fashion. In fact, we probably need to be united more than ever. And glad to have this conversation and moment with you, just to inspire, lots of people to get behind women and girls as we think about the future of work. The other thing I'll just note for the audience is tonight at 8 o'clock, our NBC team pulled together an incredible town hall hosted by Tremaine Lee. Lots of conversation about what's happening in the world today, how do we move forward, and just the importance of connection in this moment. So thank you, Rosario, for your time. Thank you to the Social Innovation Summit for giving us this moment of positive information.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosario and Dalila. Really, really nice conversation. Huge support of the Lower East Side Girls Club. I think not only developing skills, but allowing young people to really strengthen their voice, which is probably such an important aspect more than anything else at times, especially right now, where we just need more voices out there against the terrible things happening in the world right now. And so the Lower East Side Girls Club is a place where young people are developing that voice that we need for the future. And I especially appreciated your point that a lot of times we ask kids to be the future, but we don't show them how to be the future or give them role models. And so I think that's another important aspect of work that you're both doing at Comcast, NBCUniversal, and with the Lower East Side Girls Club. So really want to thank both of you, both just for being champions and leaders for all of us. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you the best and have a great day, especially in these uncertain times.
Thank you, Mel.